Welcome to another episode of the Podcast Profits Unleashed podcast, the show where we empower coaches and experts to use podcasting as a powerful tool to drive sales and grow your business. Now, I'm your host, Karen Roberts. Now, after the break, I will be giving you some little tips around podcasting. But first, our guest on the Podcast Profits Unleashed podcast is Shannon Russell, a career transition and business coach. And she's also the author of Start Your Second Act, How to Change Careers, Launch a Business, and Create Your Best Life. Love that. And we're going to be talking about how to go from burnout to purpose. Now, Shannon, she empowers women to leave unfulfilling careers and build joyful, purpose-driven businesses. So welcome to the show, Shannon.
Thanks, Karen. This is great. I'm excited to be here.
So we'll do, first of all, where did this all come from? What was the inspiration behind you helping women transition from corporate to an entrepreneur?
I did it myself. I had a dream career in television for about 16 years. And when I became a mom, I started feeling like it wasn't fulfilling me anymore. I wanted to be more present with the kids and not miss them all the time. And I was traveling and working long hours. And I decided to start my second act and get into business so I could be more present for them. And I launched into my first business, which was a franchise. And then from there, I saw that franchise within the first couple of years rise to the top of the organization. I was really successful right off the bat. And I started having people ask me, how did you go from TV to this? And I saw that there was a need, especially for women in that midlife new mom era where they were realizing that the job they chose at 20 didn't fit anymore. And I did it all alone, trying to figure out what to do. And I wanted to be able to help other women like us. I launched my coaching business at the same time as my franchise. And it's been wonderful to just really be able to help.
Franchises, I suppose that for a lot of people, that would be the sensible next step, because the beauty is, when you're in corporate, when you're an employee of any kind, the company have all the processes in place, all the SOPs, everything's done, right? And so many people then try to launch a business and all of a sudden they've got to wear all these different hats that they've never had to in the past, and it can get overwhelming. Yeah. So a franchise, I suppose, has it all there, but you don't just help people launch franchises, you help them launch whatever's right for them. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The franchise was just my business in a box to get me started and to see, okay, this is possible. I can do it. I can produce my own life instead of a television show for someone else. And then to be able to help women at whatever spot they're at, as long as they know that they want that freedom and flexibility of running their own business, then I can help them. And franchising is just an option because I have that experience. But no, I help women with any kind of business that they're thinking about, because they're taking their experience and skills from their 9-to-5 jobs and they can turn it into a business, an entrepreneurship venture that really brings all of their experience with them in this next act.
But so how do you do this? Because it is a scary place. And a lot of people realize that many people fail at business, but your clients have huge success. You must have a particular process. How do you help them be able to completely quit that scary step of actually dropping full-time, could be very well paid job, to actually take that leap of faith and launch their own business?
Well, we go through, so I'm certified in UMAP, which is a career assessment, and it really looks at your skills, personality, values, all of the good stuff, and gives you this outline profile of what you could be doing or should be doing. And so when someone comes to me and they say, I think I want to open a salon, or I want to start an online shop, whatever it might be, we say, okay, great, let's take a beat, let's do this assessment, and we'll see how everything aligns. Because a lot of times, as you know, it's greener on the other side, so you think, until you actually start doing your research. And so a lot of times women will come and they'll have this idea, and as we dig down, they'll say, oh, I didn't realize that was going to be XYZ, like a little too much or not exactly what I thought. So we can pivot and reassess. So that UMAP really helps align everything together. And it's that arrow or roadmap to keep them on the direction that they really truly want to go. And then we start doing that research and we start looking at, okay, let's look at the not fun stuff like your bank account. Let's see how much you have saved and maybe how much longer you want to work to save before you give your notice. So there's a lot of very individual, personalized coaching and planning that we take to get them there so that they're confident in their decision and they get there successfully.
Because that is so important. I used to live in the Algarve. I lived there in Portugal. So I lived there for 8 years. We moved out there. We didn't have an idea to set up business. We didn't. So here's the key, right? We did not research it, right? We went, I had a 4-year-old daughter. I was 7 months pregnant when we went. We had the idea of, we're not going to starve. If things don't quite go away, we'll do something. But we were able, I was in the fitness industry for 25 years. So we opened our own fitness studio. And what I saw, which it really saddened me, a lot of expats, so a lot of Brits, giving up their corporate jobs. They've got money and they move out and they instantly just think, wouldn't it be amazing to open a restaurant? We think, you've got no experience. You have no idea what it takes to have a successful restaurant. And they would put all their money into it, making it look good. The marketing aspect seemed to be the last thing. And they didn't have any business skills. And you'd see it time and time again, these restaurants opening up and shutting down. And then they're having to move back. And I used to just think, that's not the way to do it. So I love that you said there that you've got to be real and you've got to research it. I didn't. Fortunately, we did make it work just through, I think, stubbornness. And I am not giving up. But for many, yes. How do you know? So how do you work with people because they might have this dream, but if they've had no experience in it, they don't know if they're going to enjoy the day-to-day running of that business. So what do you do there?
Karen, you just said it, the day-to-day. And I think that's what people don't understand. So I'm big on reaching out and networking and calling other owners of similar businesses and asking them, what is the day-to-day like? Do you have a manager? Are you running that business? Are you working, which most business owners work more than they do in their 9-to-5 job, but are you working outside of your non-negotiables? So I always talk about non-negotiables and saying, okay, when I left television, as an example, I wanted to be able to be present for my kids. I wanted to be able to pick them up at school every day at 3:00. So my non-negotiable was that I didn't want to transition into a business where I was working until 10 p.m. and working on weekends. And that would have gone against my whole reason for pivoting. So I think once I work with clients and we talk about that non-negotiable, you can learn about the day-to-day in the business you're interested in and figure out what is going to fit. Because you don't want to get into a job that you're working 24/7 or you realize, I have no idea what I'm doing. And now you're really struggling. So I think it's that research piece, because that research, that reaching out to other people who have walked the walk and done it before you, gives you that confidence. Because you can realize maybe I am not really interested in that. And then you can go back and figure something else out, but you want to know it before you make that leap. So learn before you leap is really my advice.
And I would 100% agree with that, because I've done it the wrong way. And although it worked to a certain degree, I would never do it again.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I would never do it again. But what do you think stops people? Because there's so many people that do feel stuck in their corporate job, because whatever they did out of school, maybe they went to like over here, uni, got the degree, then went to get the job that they thought they were supposed to get because it paid a certain amount. And then what tends to happen is people can feel stuck because all of a sudden they've got all these bills to pay. They might have bought a house, they've got the mortgage to pay. And so it's, even though they're unhappy, they feel like they can't pivot, as you said, right? But they can, right? We know that you can start afresh, like you say. You're the second act. I've had, I don't know what I'm on yet. Third,
Right.
fourth, fifth. I've reinvented myself a few times, but yeah, why don't more people do it? Because it does affect them. It affects their mental health if they're really unhappy in the work that they're doing, but they're too afraid to step out and start something new.
It affects their relationships, it affects their health, like you said, physically, emotionally, and I think it's that fear of the unknown, and mostly it's that fear of what other people will think. I hear that a lot,
Mm,
but the biggest thing I hear from people is, "I'll just wait. I'll wait for that perfect time. I'll wait for the kids to be out of the house. I'll wait until retirement." But that drives me crazy, Karen, because we don't know how much longer we have. The whole idea, I think, of reinventing yourself and starting something new to make yourself happier now is so you have no regrets at the end of the day. So I really truly think that it's stopping with those excuses and figuring out a way forward that works for you. And you're not going to leave your entire family in chaos and lose the house and all of that. There's a way to do it that's really strategic and methodical, but it can be done. And why wait until that perfect time
mm.
that may never come?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Why put off? I can remember thinking like that because, yeah, I was in the fitness industry for 25 years. I was a sports therapist. And I remember coming out when I first went into digital marketing. What are people going to say? Because they just know me as an instructor up the front on stage or
Yeah.
somebody that's fixing their shoulder. What do I know about anything online? And it's interesting that, and I try and teach my daughters this, is, man, if you can deal with this now, stop worrying about what other people think, because guess what? They're not. They're
No.
not thinking about you. It's quite, what's the word I'm looking for? It's quite arrogant, isn't it, really, to think that they're even thinking about you anyway, because they're
Yeah.
not. They're busy
No.
with their own lives. But I do get it because I can remember feeling like that, almost frightened to put myself out there because I was worrying about what other people are going to think. And God, if you could just get over that one thing,
Yeah.
your life will be so much easier. And you've got to show up, right? You've got to show up. You've got a business that you're starting. You've got to show up. You can't be the best kept secret. So get rid of that
No.
one. Anything else? What else do you think? Some of the common things that, if anybody's listening that is feeling like that, what is it? What is stopping them? What is stopping them from reaching out to somebody like you?
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's thinking that other people are going to say, "Who are you to start over? Who are you to reinvent yourself?" But really, if you put yourself out there, I find oftentimes it's those naysayers that are projecting their fear onto you because they might not necessarily go outside of the box and try something new, but it doesn't mean you can't. And I often advise to my clients, if you are thinking about that, hold it close to the chest, do your research, talk to someone, get a coach, get a mentor, figure it out, and then tell the people in your circle. Because even your
Mm,
partner, your family, your best friend are going to feel worried for you. And I had that. I always joke that I had an intervention from my husband and my friends because they were all in the entertainment industry too. And I just had to say, trust me. But it was scary, the whole social media aspect of it, like putting it out there online. But can I just tell you, once you get past that, like you said, and you start seeing other people say, "Can you help me? Can you help me?" I
mm,
just launched my book a week ago, and people have been reaching out that I haven't spoken to in over 20 years that are like, "I see that. I'm going to give the book to my clients," or "Can you help me? I'd like to write a book." And you say, wow, like people are seeing what I'm putting out and they're not judging me. They're actually supporting in their own way. And that's something I think it's important for people to realize when they're making a change. Because, yeah, it's worrying about what other people will think. And really, the whole idea of disrupting the status quo, disrupting
mm.
their family, not being able to pay the bills, just disrupting whatever flow you're in. But again, you can do it strategically if you make that plan. And maybe you don't make that pivot or that change for 6 months or a year or even longer, but you can create that roadmap to get you there and start the process along in a really safe way. But yeah, it's a lot of
Fantastic.
that fear of the unknown. I think that just makes everyone stop and say, "I'll just do it down the road. I'll find that time."
Yes. And yeah, there's no better time than now to take that next step. So if there are listeners out there that are thinking, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And they want to reach out to you. What should the listeners do next?
They can go to secondactsuccess.co. On my website is everything, ways to work with me. There's free resources they can download right now. I have a podcast. They can get links to my book, but there's so many different ways that they can figure out how to take that next step. They can book a free call and we can just talk about their individual situation, because I think just getting it out there to someone outside of your circle is a big step for people, and just being able to talk and see, okay, this is really something I can do if I take these couple of steps in front of me.
Brilliant. And you mentioned there you've got a podcast. So to the listeners, what is your podcast called?
Yes, it's Second Act Success Career Podcast. So it's all about making that second act in life and starting over in your career or business.
Fantastic. And because my podcast is about podcasting as well. So how have you found the whole using a podcast to help grow your business?
You know this, but it's just that thought leadership. Just having that podcast, people can listen to you and get to know you before they work with you. And I think that's an excellent way when I get clients who book a strategy call with me and they say, oh, I feel like I already know you because I've been listening, because it's that intimate connection. And I just love that, because we're not starting at zero. They've already gotten to know me and my ways of working. So yeah, I think that's just a great way. And getting to meet other podcasters like you and joining other shows, it's just a way to get your message out there to more people. And then you see it on the back end when you do book clients.
There you go. And also having a book. What was your book called again? I did mention it at the beginning, but again, what's it called?
It's Start Your Second Act.
Yeah, there you go. So there you go. They're very low resistant. Go and grab the book. Go and listen to a podcast, go to our website, and our details will be in the show notes so you can resort back to those. Listen, Shannon, it's been lovely speaking with you. Thank you for taking time out of your day to speak with me. And guys, after the break, I will be back with my tips for the day on podcasting. Bye for now. So I'm back with your podcasting power-ups, 3 pro tips for consistent, confident episodes. So we're wrapping up today's episode. What a guest. I'm going to have 3 podcasting lessons that I've learned the hard way so you don't have to. Number 1, always do a pre-flight check. Trust me on this one. I'm going to be honest. It stings a little. I once recorded a fantastic interview, great guest, incredible insight, natural flow, and then the horror hit me. I'd forgotten to press record. Yep. Whole thing gone. Now, I never hit record without doing a pre-flight check, just like a pilot. Here's my personal checklist before every single session. Is my mic plugged in and selected in the software? Is it the right one? Is my recording software actually running? Do I have a backup running just in case? Is my internet stable? I plug into the Ethernet. This is really important. Your Wi-Fi might not hold out. This is a 2-minute ritual that saves me from tech disasters and from having to send that embarrassing email asking for a redo. So, takeaway, don't trust your memory, trust your checklist. Number 2, batch record to stay consistent, because life happens, right? Consistency is key in podcasting, but let's be real. Right? Guests cancel. Maybe your voice is gone. Maybe you've got to go and pick up your kids from school. There's been an emergency. That's why I always recommend batch recording, especially some solo episodes if your guest lets you down. Take one afternoon a month and knock out 3 or 4 short episodes that you can on tips, stories, how-tos. Treat solo episodes as your backup plan because, guests cancel at the last minute. So if they do, no problem, because you've got a solo ready-made. And then this way, your audience keeps getting value, even if it's behind the scenes, right? This way, your audience keeps getting value, even if behind the scenes, everything's on fire. Remember, consistency builds trust. Trust builds an audience, and that audience builds your business. And finally, tip number 3, don't just thank your guest and move on. Follow up like a pro. Look, you've recorded an awesome interview. You say thank you. end the call and assume that your guest is going to promote the episode when it airs. Spoiler alert, they won't, unless you make it super easy for them, because your guest is likely juggling 1,000 other things and your show is just one part of their week. So when the episode is ready, book a quick follow-up call with them to reconnect, share your launch date, or if it's already launched, then you can give them the specific episode links and you can explain how you're going to help them shine. Send them a promo pack with everything done for them. A pre-written social media captions or social media posts written from their perspective, not yours. Maybe a couple of branded reels, or if you just do audio, some audiograms. Maybe a quote card that you've pulled from some of the insights that they dropped and an eye-catching thumbnail. Bonus points for a blog post that they can use or adapt, again, written from their perspective. When you do the work, they're far more likely to share it and to keep sharing it long after launch. It's not just about visibility. It's about building real relationships with your guests. And that's where the long-term podcast magic happens. So quick recap. Number 1, checklist before you record. Always, because you may regret it otherwise. Batch solo episodes to stay consistent and follow up with your guests like a pro. Don't expect them to promote without help. They need to be told what they need to do. And so these little practices don't just make podcasting easier, they make it sustainable. And sustainable podcasts are the ones that grow. Now, if you think it's all a little bit overwhelming of all the moving parts to have a successful podcast, then you know what? Go to podcastprofitsunleashed.com/free and watch my on-demand workshop, which is called Your 6-Figure Podcast Blueprint. There I will break down everything you need to know. And then if you need help, you can book a complimentary strategy call with me. Like, we can take the overwhelm out of it. So till next week, bye for now.
Thank you for listening to today's episode on the Podcast Profits Unleashed podcast. If you're a coach, consultant, therapist, or healer who would like to drive sales whilst having fun podcasting, head over to podcastprofitsunleashed.com/free and find out how you can turn your podcast into a sales machine. We'll see you on the next episode.